Good afternoon. This is our continued coverage of the unfortunate death of former Vice President Kwesi Bequin Emisa Arthur. We'll take you straight to his Ridge residence, where Joy News' Emefa Apau is standing by. We understand Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is currently paying his respects at the home of a former Vice President Kwesi Bequin Emisa Arthur. Will be taking you there, but as you know, the country is still in shock about the demise of Mr. Kwesi Bequin Emisa Arthur. Mr. Emisa Arthur died this morning at the 37 Military Hospital after he collapsed at the Air Force gym. The former governor of the Bank of Ghana became vice president upon his appointment by former President John Dramani Mahama and was subsequently vetted by Parliament and later sworn into office. Vice President Bawumia is on his way to his Ridge residence. We'll take you to the home shortly, but before that, let's watch some excerpts of the swearing in of Mr. Emisa Arthur. Let's now join Emefa Apau, who is currently at the Ridge residence of the former Vice President, the deceased former Vice President. Emefa, if you can hear me, what's the current situation there at Mr. Emisa Arthur's Ridge residence?
Okay, Daniel, usually this the 7th Avenue Precinct, the Ridge residence of the former Vice President would have been a calm place where you would usually not see too many people lodging around. But see, because of the situation we have today, we have a number of people trooping in here. We have from NBC, we have from the banking fraternity, we have from the academia. They all gathered here as we speak. And just as we were speaking, the Vice President, Mahmoud Bawumia, has just arrived in the company of the Chief of Staff, Fremont Parry. We also have the Defense Minister. We have the Attorney General, Gloria Kufu. We've just also had Mr. Alote Jacobs and all that, all trooping in as we speak. Big wigs of the NDC. We have the leadership of the NDC all coming here for one thing, because of the news they've also heard about the demise of the former President, Mr. Arthur. It's unusual, though, but the family, like they said in their statement, are saying that they want this to be a private ceremony as they would have it. Because as we speak, most of the media have been locked out of this interaction with the Vice President and the wife, Mr. Arthur. But we have most of them inside as we speak. So he just entered. And I'm sure that just as has been done previously, he is going to commiserate with the family and also let them know about their support. But we are just waiting as we speak because he just entered, like I said. But most of the people who have trooped in as we speak, at the NDC big race, like I said, they've been talking about their fondest memories. The parliamentary team just walked in, they just left as we speak, and they came with a second deputy speaker, Alban Bagbin, who was just close to tears, I would say. If we had pushed him further, we would have all been tears for him, recounting his fondest memories of Uncle Papi, like they call him, or PK, like some would also say. They all said one thing, recounting his humility and his strong personality, like they say, that people unusually would think that he is a weak kind of person, but they say that he's a very assertive person, and his love will be irreplaceable. For Alban Bagbin, for instance, he says that for him, knowing that the Fourth Republic, we don't have any surviving former vice president, he tells him that we need to be able to take our health seriously as a nation, and that it looks like for our health ministry, for instance, should be well resourced to be able to take care of the health of the nation. So these are some of the fondest memories that some of these people who have that close encounter with our former vice president have been sharing with us. The Teke tells us about his relationship that dates back to his national service days all the way to the IRS, to the GRA, and to the economic team for the nation, and then also the governor of the Bank of Ghana, then to the vice president, and then out of office. So most of them largely, like they say it's not just because they've lost someone, so they are saying good things about him, but they say that they really have some fond memories that they shared with the former vice president that will be unforgettable for them, and their memories that they hold dear, that for them, that would be what they will remember, former Vice President Mr. Arthur for.
MFA, what about the family? What about Mr. and Ms. Arthur's family?
Like I said to you, Daniel, the family usually want to make this a very private ceremony, and I see that it's also recounted in their statement as it's issued. So security is rather tight at the entrance. You are permitted to loiter about around the wall and around the gate, but to enter, you need to be actually known by the family, because they have people at the entrance that would want to really know that are you really close to the family, because they don't want intruding, they don't want their matter out there, they want it to be very private. That's how come they were calling on the public to be with them and understand them as they go through this process, because it's still a shock for them, because this is a man who was not sick, just drove himself to the gym this morning only to be told that he had passed away. So it's another state of shock for them right now, and most of them who would enter and even come out would not want to even speak to you at all. They don't want to even know, they don't want to speak to the media. They still insist that there should be a very private thing for them. So they've come to terms with the death of their beloved before, if they have to open up to us, they would. That's
very
the situation
understandable
with the family.
Understandably so. Thank you very much, MFA Apau, for that report. MFA is currently at the Ridge residence of the former Vice President Kwesi Bequin, Mr. Arthur. Now, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper, brother of the late President Mills Samuel Atta Mills, former Attorney General Betty Mould-Iddrisu, and Kizza Lato-Forson and others have gone to console the bereaved family. MFA earlier spoke to some of them.
All that is finest, I think, in the fancies. He was a true gentleman, Fondest memories of when he was sworn in as Vice President of our country. And personally, we were close, and it's been difficult.
Phone, and I saw so many missed calls from people who know I'm close to him. And then I called a few people and became evidence that it was true. And I still don't believe it. I'm still in a shock. I just left the wife. We can only say God knows the best, and we hope he's in the hands of the Lord. And all of a sudden, one of the security people shouted, "Veep, veep, veep," and he fell down. The doctor who looked at him. They said he was fine. They took him to 37. All the doctors were ready for him. They did all the little tests they could do, and they said he will be fine. Half an hour later on, they came back and said he was gone.
It was a shock. I couldn't believe it, because I had spoken to him barely a week before I traveled. We sat together, relaxed. He didn't look like anybody who was. He had actually come from the office, and we sat for over an hour together with support, and we were, discussing all manner of things, because we have had a very long relationship. Yeah, it's a loss to the nation, to the party, but to some of us, we've also lost, a very good friend.
So you just saw Seth Terkper earlier, you saw Betty Mould-Iddrisu and others. Let's now take you to the central region, Cape Coast, where his mother and the rest of his family members live. Correspondent Richard Kojunyako reports friends and loved ones have been expressing shock at the sudden news. Okay, let's go on the phone lines now and speak further with Kojo Nyako. Kojo, we understand the news is yet to be broken to his mother. Is this still the case?
Yes, exactly so. The situation changed a few moments ago when the Methodist priest came there. They broke the news. They found a very nice way of breaking the news to her. In the morning, it wasn't easy. The phone had to be switched off, the chip taken out of the phone, and then the radio set had to be taken away from where she usually sits. and the TV was, and eventually they had to even disconnect the electricity supply. They prevented people from going to their house because they didn't want the woman, the 90-plus anti-FA, to suspect anything that was going on. Eventually, people started trooping in. The people were curious, people were dumbfounded, and they couldn't believe that the man who they just saw last Saturday at the constituency elections, where he came to speak with them at the Center for National Culture, and subsequently at Mori, where he went to cast his ballot, could die just like that. And so they are left in utter shock. So people are still trooping into the family house here at Ola. And there is one family, the larger family house at Potokaba, where they've written a Mr. Atta house. And so people in Cape Coast generally cannot believe it. They wish the story or what they were hearing wasn't.
Right, Richard.
Dan.
Richard, have you seen any of the party hierarchy on the regional leadership at the family house since this was announced?
About an hour ago, only the constituency executives, the newly constituency executives, were seen there. It was headed by Mr. Franchi Taylor, and he just won the Cape Coast South constituency chairman. It was at that event that the former vice president went to speak there. He took some selfies with party supporters because they had missed him. A lot of them mobbed him until the security detail had to intervene, pave the way for the man to go and eventually take his car.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. That was Richard Kojo-Nyarko, who is a man in the central region. Let's now see some of these scenes that Richard witnessed today. Some mourners at Mr. Bequim and Mr. Arthur's residence in Cape Coast.
The family has lost a great man. I last saw him on Saturday when we were playing draft. He came over to greet us and informed me that he was leaving to Accra.
This is the last day. So I am saying the Waruko,
in fact, he didn't look sick at all.
As a shock. First, I took it to be one of these hugs that we normally get. But upon cross-checking the information, I got the veracity of the information I'm taking is true. It was a shock to me, actually, because after my election, we've been communicating, and he always impressed that I've taken a big task, and I need to myself readiness for the task ahead, and he assured that he will do all.
Some distraught family members there in the central region, Cape Coast. Let's come back to the rich residence of the former Vice President, Kwesi Bequim, Mr. Arthur, who is no more. MFR Powell tells us that the current Vice President, Mahmoud Bawumia, has arrived there. MFR, is this the case?
That's exactly the case, Daniel. You're right. So I spoke to you a while ago telling you that we're expecting the Vice President Bawumia to get here to commiserate with the family. As we speak, just behind me, that's the vehicle that the Vice President arrived in. You see other vehicles also parked. That's where the Chief of Staff, Fremo Pari, together with the Interior, the Defense Minister, Dominic Netiwo, the Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, and some other delegates, persons that came with the Vice President to commiserate with them. And like I told you, that security is rather tight here, and because the family had insisted that they wanted to be a private, thing for them till they are able to come to terms with it. So as it stands now, the Vice President isn't there with the family and the widow. So as it stands now, we're just waiting for him to come out and see if he's able to share a word or two with us, knowing that that's a political arch rival. He still had some questions that the Vice President or the former Vice President had to answer, which he never got answers to. So even though we are mourning, I'm sure that we'll get that lighter side as well. well to see that if he's still expecting those answers or those answers to those questions that he posed to the former vice president. So Daniel, that's the situation as it stands now, and you can see that a number of vehicles parked here. There's tight traffic and then security as well, obviously because the vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is inside there. And I'm sure in no time he will be walking out because he's been in there for let's say about 5 minutes or so, and if you can see, the gate has just opened. So we're hoping the vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will step out soon, and hopefully we can get a word or two from him. And you can see that journalists, like I said, have been locked out of that ceremony, hoping that we won't get anything that was said inside there. But of course, there are some also that managed to be able to get in there. And of course, Joy News will keep you posted and give you exactly what the vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, shared with the family. Daniel.
Right, that's Emefa Apawa. Emefa, I'll come back to you when the situation changes. Now, if you just joined us, the news, the top story is still that former Vice President Kwesi Bekoe Emiza Arthur is no more. There are many. And his soul will rest in perfect peace. Let's take you to Parliament now, where Joseph Opoku Gakpo tells us that the House has been paying tribute to the former statesman, the late statesman. Joseph, what have the parliamentarians been saying?
Daniel, a few moments ago, the House began sitting. Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, indicated that the news has gotten to them that former Vice President Mr. Arthur has passed on. He described it as a very sad situation because this is a man that he knew personally, and in his words, he was a very good man. He gave the opportunity for leadership on the side of both the minority and the majority to comment on the news that the MPs have indicated has really hit them hard. And Muntaka Mubarak, who is the minority chief whip, who is leading discussions on the minority side on the floor, indicated that this is a man who has been all these weeks, to the extent that he was recently at an NDC event just a few days ago. He participated and he was there very happy. He again mentioned that a while ago they went to visit his family house as members on the minority side, and they even got the information that this morning Vice President Mr. Arthur left.
Just go quickly.
Drove to the gym himself along with his wife, and then there was the situation of him collapsing at the gym. He was resuscitated, he was taken to the hospital, and that it's sad that he eventually passed on. And he described it as a very sad situation and a big blow to them, the NDC, as a party. There were comments as well from the majority leader, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, who indicated that Mr. Arthur is someone that he's also known personally. They would usually meet and share jokes, and for him, it's very worrying that a man who for a very long time was very healthy, there wasn't a situation of him falling ill, he had to pass on.
Right. Thank you very much, Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who is currently in Parliament, members of Parliament there, eulogizing the former deceased Vice President. Let's go back to the residence of Mr. Arthur. We understand the Vice President is addressing the media.
Hello. Okay. Been able to gain access with the Vice President. Your fondest memories. So it looks like the Vice President wouldn't want to have any word with the media as it stands now. We're hoping to catch his fondest memories that he shared. So So it looks like the Vice President is still mourning and wouldn't want to have any word with the media as it stands now. He's just entered the vehicle and it looks like he's just moving, Daniel. So if you can see the live pictures, the Vice President has just finished his interaction with the widow and the family of the former Vice President, Mr. Arthur, and his vehicle is just about moving. He's unable to give us any word or so on his relationship or his fondest memories with the former Vice President. So if you're watching live pictures here from the Ridge residence of the former Vice President, Mr. Arthur, and the current Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has just seen the widow and the family and is just driving away, unable to give any word or two with the media gathered here as it stands now, Daniel. So that's the vehicle just moving, unable to speak to us, no word at all, coming to terms with the death as it stands now. So that's the situation here, Daniel, if you can see.
So MFI, earlier you told us about some other officials that he was with, the Defense Minister, the Attorney General. Have any of these persons had anything to say about the former Vice President?
Okay, so the Chief of Staff is still in there as we speak, because the Vice President has just moved. But we're hoping the Chief of Staff, Fremont Seopare, as she also walks out. The Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, is also coming out as we speak. So if you stay with me a bit, they are just walking out of the residence, but the media is still being locked out. Still interacting with Nana Oyelitha and some other officials in there, and we're hoping to catch a word with them also. But as and when we are able to get to them, we'll be able to speak to you again, Daniel.
MFA, we are standing by. We will be coming back to you when we have if there's anything more in this situation. You're still watching Joy News on Multi TV. The pictures you saw there are live pictures from the Ridge residence of the deceased Vice President Kwesi Bekwai Mr. Arthur, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President, and a delegation, led a delegation, I should say, to the Ridge residence of Mr. Arthur, and they went there to commiserate with the family. Among the delegation were Defense Minister, current Defense Minister, current Attorney General, and a number of other officials. I'll go back to MFA in a moment to find out. We have not been able to see some of these persons, so if she can describe for us the demeanor of these people. MFA, we just saw there the Vice President seemed very forlorn. It seemed like he was not ready to say anything or do anything. Is this the general mood amongst the ministers who are traveling with him?
General mood amongst those here, I can tell you, because most of them, as I speak, I'm just hiding behind the gate, the security preventing us from entering. But if you can see the live pictures that my cameraman is able to catch, you can see them, everybody just in a somber mood, distraught as we speak. You can see the Attorney General and Nana Oyelitha currently in an interaction there. So we're hoping that as they file out, they will be able to give us a word or two, Daniel. But as it stands now, that's the situation in there. They would want it to be as private as possible, and security would not just give you access in there. But my cameraman is still trying to be able to get in there to give us one or two. But media here waiting, because the Chief of Staff and also the Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo and the rest of them, but you could see the Vice President, if you could see his facial expression, rather distraught, and it's more like it reflects the situation in here for everyone that has filed past in. Professor Kwesi Bekwai, you see Kofi Adams, you see Kwame Pepra, Uncle Ato Ahoy has been in here for a while. He's also in there. Betty Mo Idrisu and the husband Mahama Idrisu, they are also in there. Alote Jacobs, party bigwigs, Anita Disoso is also in there. But they would not just give you a word or two. Some of them who managed the former Finance Minister said Tekpe, who was able to manage a few words, Alban Bragbin, who also managed to give us a few words or two. But the others would say that they would want to go in there, get an assessment of what the situation is. Once they're able to get it, then they will be able to come back to us. But we'll still loiter about here, and definitely we'll be able to get one or two from them in terms of their fondest memories of the deceased Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur.
Right, thank you very much, Emefa Apawu. Emefa Apawu is with us here at Joy News. She's currently staking out at the ridge residence of the former Vice President, now deceased former Vice President Kwesi Bekwei Amissah-Arthur. May his soul rest in peace. Now, another story that has been making rounds since yesterday is the Sophia Akufo Committee report on the petitions to remove the EC boss and 2 of her deputies from office. Now, this report says a chairperson for the commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, breached procurement laws in awarding contracts for partitioning of new EC offices and a number of other contracts. Now, the committee held that the contract awarded far exceeded her threshold. Now, she got approval for lower sums, but awarded the contract in higher values. Her own staff, head of procurement unit and principal electoral officer testified against her. So Information Minister Mustafa Hamid read portions of this committee report to the media at a press conference a while ago.
The committee looked into 6 allegations against the chairperson. The committee found that there was no documentary evidence of engagement of the appointment of Sorry at Law, which was in breach of the Public Procurement Act. The committee said that she appointed the lawyers through sole sourcing without the approval of the Public Procurement Authority, and that she misbehaved with the appointment of Messias Sorry at Law. It held further that, quote, the events surrounding the engagement of Messias Sorry at Law as lawyers for the Electoral Commission shows incompetence, ineptitude, and dereliction of duty on the part of Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and so we find, unquote. The second allegation was that the chairperson of the EC unilaterally abrogated a duly procured contract with the entity STL and awarded the same contract to the same entity without recourse to the commission and without due process of the Public Procurement Act. The committee says that it found that Mrs. Charlotte Osei cancelled contracts awarded by Mrs. Opoku Amankwa to STL. She cancelled these contracts and then turned around and awarded the same contracts. In other words, this time she then signed now with STL. The same contracts that you signed and the same terms and everything, you cancelled it, then turned around and re-awarded the same contracts to the same company without recourse to the law. The committee found that upon her appointment in June 2015, Mrs. Osei detected some irregularities with the STL contract, which was yet to be performed and was right to have abrogated it. However, the committee found that her decision to unilaterally award fresh contracts to the same STL in the aggregate sum of $22,340,814 was illegal. That she failed to comply with the internal procurement procedures of the Electoral Commission created by the Commission itself, namely the Entity Tender Review Panel and the Public Procurement Act. All in all, she awarded 12 contracts to STL for the supply of ICT equipment and services. And the committee found that out of these 12 contracts, only one did not exceed her procurement threshold as chairperson, which was 50,000 cedis for goods and services before July 2016. In other words, as a chairperson, there's a limit, there's an amount of money beyond which you cannot unilaterally award a contract. In other words, beyond that amount, you must recourse to the Public Procurement Authority. And in all these contracts, they exceeded the threshold of the amount that was within her power to authorize, but she went ahead to authorize nonetheless. That's the point that we are making. Except one out of the 12. All the letters awarding the 12 contracts to STL were signed by the chairperson herself between 8 February 2016 and 25 November 2016. The committee held, quote, that it was very absurd coming from the chairperson, the very person who led the crusade to abrogate the initial STL contracts, citing breaches of the Public Procurement Act, unquote. The Entity Tender Review Panel consists of the chairperson and her 2 deputies. The committee found that the STL contracts awarded by the chairperson was unlawful, violated sections 16 and 40 of the Public Procurement Act, Act 914. The committee found that she misbehaved, and misbehavior is a quotation, that, quote, she misbehaved in awarding the new STL contracts. It further held that she, quote, showed sheer incompetence in the manner she handled or conducted the award of new STL contracts in view of her experience with the initial STL contracts which were abrogated at her instance, unquote. The third allegation is over the decision to acquire a new office block. The committee found that the chairperson breached the law on procurement in awarding contracts for works and consultancy service for the new building. The Public Procurement Authority in February 2016 granted approval for the EC to award the contract for consultancy service for partitioning the new offices at the current sum of 98,000 Ghana cedis, 98,100 Ghana cedis, as requested by the EC. Note that the Public Procurement Authority approved a contract sum of 98,100 Ghana cedis to the Commission for the partitioning of new offices. However, in April 2016, the chairperson wrote to the PPA for another restricted tender for internal partitioning of the new office block at a total cost of 3,410,268 Ghana cedis. This was also granted. The evidence of witnesses given against the chairperson were by her own staff. In other words, the staff of the Electoral Commission all appeared before the committee right in front of her and made these allegations against her, which the committee held she couldn't defend.
Meanwhile, a planned demonstration by members of the NDC to protest the removal of the EC chairperson this morning was called off. One of the leaders told Joy News' Kojo Yankson the call-off was necessitated by news of the demise of former Vice President Kwesi Bekoe and Mr. Arthur this morning.
We are not fighting for Charlotte Osei. We are not fighting for her deputies. We are fighting for the institution called the Electoral Commission, its democracy and its sanctity. It is the arbiter of our elections, and we must protect that at all times to make sure that the last arbiter of our elections, of our democracy, is always protected, to ensure that its safety is actually guarded. Because it is actually just a thin line between that and what happened in the other African countries. And we would not sit aloof to watch Ghana go down the brink or go down the drain before we begin to act. It is a very unfortunate situation. I feel so sad that at this very crucial time we are losing someone of that caliber. It was definitely unexpected. Death, comes anytime, anyhow, unannounced. And it is a very great loss, not only to the NDC as a party, but to Ghana, Africa, and the world at large. Such a peaceful and very intelligent personality. But what we can say is that we cannot question the authority of God. He knows best, he gives and he takes, and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
This is the main reason you are giving for calling off this demonstration?
The main reason for calling off this demonstration is because of the loss of our Vice President in respect for his memory.
So, as you can see, the activity is continuing.
Yeah.
When is the demonstration actually going to be called off?
It's already been called off. They are just here because you have also come, and they were expecting that you, Kojo, will also be here. And therefore, they need to let you know that we were not chickening out, but as a result of the circumstance, that is why we are calling it off. So we will call it off once we are done from here.
So that's the NDC. The Progressive People's Party, the PPP, however, says it is not surprised at all with the outcome of the investigation of the Justice Sophia Ekofo Committee. A statement issued and signed by the national chairman of the party, Nialote Bru-Hammond, indicted the EC commissioners themselves, indicated that the EC commissioners themselves had prepared the nation for this end result because of their own public accusation of gross violations of our procurement laws and their articles of engagement. The party believes that the independence and autonomy of the EC has been given a boost. It observed that the report will engender a degree of public confidence and puts to rest the soiled image of the Commission and the rot in which the EC commissioners themselves told the nation they wallowed in. Meanwhile, the Pressure Group Alliance for Accountable Government, AFAG, also welcomes and congratulates the President for the bold decision of sacking Mrs. Charlotte Osei and her two deputy commissioners implicated in the Chief Justice's investigation. The group in a statement said the move is a vindication of its long-standing call as a result of its position against corrupt public office holders. It went further to demand the prosecution of the EC chair and her deputies if the allegations and counter-allegations of corruption among them were established by the CJ's committee. Still watching Joy News on Multi TV. Stay with us. In a heavy downpour in Kumasi yesterday, floodwaters washed away babies, teenagers and adults, homes, cars, and broke down some major bridges around the Aloga area in Kumasi. One family is believed to have lost 5 members. Joy News' Erastus Donko joins us on the phone with more. Erastus, do we now have an established death toll after last night's floods? Hello, Erastus. If you can hear me, I'm asking, what is the death toll? How many people have passed away after last night's floods?
Well, at the moment, the death toll stands at 5. 5 people. We are talking about 4 children and 1 adult. At the moment, we are also still searching for the mother of the children, a 50-year-old woman. She is still missing, and they are searching for her at the moment. So the death toll stands at the moment at 5.
Where is the search taking place? Which part of Kumasi?
Well, all the 4 children belong to one family. And we learned that yesterday when the rains started, they were at Asabi. It's close to Asokore Mampong. They visited their mother, who we are searching for at the moment. She went in a container, a metal container. And so when it started raining, they all went inside the metal container thinking they were safe. But then the container itself was sitting directly in the eye of the storm, I must say. And so when the rains got heavy, all the flood waters swept the container and took the children away. They were in there. Some of them climbed onto other metal structures, but we learned that these children, 2 of them are 12 years, and then the other one is 2 years. And then we have another one who is 10. They all died.
Apart from
the 5th child is a 6-year-old girl, one Yabwediwa Sarkodie. Her body was found at Kwadaso, suburb of Kumasi. So it brings all to 5 at the moment. They are still searching for the 50-year-old woman.
Apart from Asokori Mampo and Anoga area where we understand a bridge has been destroyed, which are the areas which have been affected the most?
But I must say that this particular flooding situation has gone beyond the expectation of many, including me, because I've never seen a flood that magnitude before, and it's spreading across the entire breadth of Kumasi, areas where previously were not even flood. We are now seeing floods to a certain magnitude that vehicles cannot even pass through. We are talking about Angomaso, the Anlaga stretch, that is the Accra-Kumasi road. The Anlaga portion was totally cut off. Vehicles could not cross or go back. Commuters had to wade through the flood waters to get to their destination. We're talking about Kwadaso in Shum, some parts of Adum, some parts of the Central Business District. We're talking about Bokum Airport Runabout, Dichamso, Kufrum, where the bridge collapsed and is eating currently deep into the major stretch, that's the airport runabout to Kufrum Road.
Right.
And so it stretches quite to other areas of Kumasi.
Right. Thank you very much, Erastus Asari Donko. He's a man in the Ashanti region. Let's go on the other line and speak with Kwabna Senchwe, the regional NADMO coordinator. Mr. Senchwe, from where you stand, do we have a full picture of what happened and the damage that has been caused?
Thank you very much. I hope you are with me. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on air.
In fact, yesterday, your reporter was there. I was there with him in the rain and in the flood also. And I hope he has already told you what actually transpired last night. And more so, because I have to leave there to another place, and from another place to other places. So I don't actually know exactly how you want me to describe it.
Right. I want to know from the perspective of leadership, which areas are receiving aid? Which areas are affected? What's the full extent of the damage?
Yeah.
From where you stand, do we know this?
Yeah, in fact, we've lost about 6 lives, and there's one other woman. She's missing, and we couldn't find her now, but we are still searching for the body. She's a 50-year-old lady, and we have retrieved 5 bodies. We learned the other 4 are one family, belongs to one family, the mother and 2 children and one other 2-year-old boy that belongs to another woman too. And we have kept all the bodies in the morgue. And as I'm telling you, talking to you now, we are in search of the other lady, that 50-year-old lady. And as I'm talking to you now, Amaga Junction, where there was much affected victims. Yeah, we just embarked demolition. And the KMA and the NADMO task force has busy demolishing the place because they are just they are less than 5 meters away from the stream, of which it should have been more than 30 meters. So demolition is going on there also. And we already informed the radio stations. We sent a letter information to them. We know the affected, the flood-prone areas within this, the region. A place like when you go to Bantima constituency or Bantima submetro, we have Adwato,
Right.
Yeah, should I go on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Adwato and Adumanu. And A whole lot. Yeah, a whole lot. So when it comes to Ichiaso, we have that by new site. We have that by new site. Panchinebra. They live along the stream, just at the banks of the river. And then when you come to...
Okay, so that gives us a bit of a clear picture. What relief is being given to the persons who are affected? Do we know, apart from those who have died, do we know the total number of lives that have been affected, generally people who have been displaced and people who have lost property?
Yeah, as I'm talking to you now, Mark was on the floor doing that. I know by the course of the day, or probably by tomorrow morning, we may have all the assessments. Yeah, and I will be able to tell you what exactly. Yeah, I mean the victim have lost, and the amount of property that the victim has lost. Anyway.
Right, but so far, have we sent any relief out?
Yeah, we are on it. I've called all my lieutenants. Those are the various sub-metro, the district directors. First of all, what we have to do is that because they cannot live in the various rooms that they slept, so we have distributed mattresses, mosquito coils, and blankets to them. They are not enough anyway. We have appealed to other philanthropists if they can come to our aid.
How many have gone out?
Pardon me?
How many mattresses have gone out?
Oh, probably we measured about maybe getting to 500. Yeah.
And how many do you envisage that you will need?
No, some of the districts are yet to bring their various reports. So we have about, they are yet to bring their various reports, and when you go to a front place, that is precisely drop on. So just at the back of the river, it might take like 2 days before we get the report. So we hope and pray that we don't have much disaster out there.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Kwamna Senchwe, for joining us this morning. Back to Accra now, where residents of Ablekuma Milk, a suburb of Accra, have given government and other local authorities a 3-day ultimatum to fix a bridge that has now become a death trap in the area. At least 3 children are said to have died trying to cross the bridge to school. They blame the current state of the bridge on government's failure to complete the construction of a drainage system promised them some years ago. Joy News' Charity Emihel Bartels has been to the community and has filed this report.
This gutter was not as big as it is today. Over the years, erosion has taken place, expanding it in the process. Nisalifu Isaka is chief of the area.
Gutter where I started to say air train, 7 years in here. I started to say air train.
It's been 7 years since the gutter started expanding due to erosion. We have made several attempts to help fix the problem, but all have failed. On several occasions, I've had to use my money to construct a wooden bridge, but the rainwater keeps washing it away. So government should build a bridge that cannot be washed away. The assemblyman and the local authorities are aware of the problem, yet several promises to fix it have not been fulfilled.
Residents say they are forced to vacate their homes whenever it rains, as the water overflows from the gutter into their homes.
Before they constructed the main road, we were promised that this road will be fixed, but it's been years and nothing has happened. 2 children have drowned here.
The situation has also affected a transformer in the area and also posing danger to residents, especially children.
We are giving government and the local authorities from now until Sunday to find ways of relocating this transformer. Failure to do so, we will embark on a demonstration. We can't sit and wait for disaster to happen before they do the needful. We know Nana Addo keeps his word, so we are begging him to come to our aid.
Residents here at Fan Milk are not happy about the nature of this gutter in which I am standing. They complain that whenever it rains, the water overflows into their homes, making it very difficult for them to cross to the other side. Last year, I'm being told that 3 children drowned in this gutter. Gradually, the water has found its own passage, making it impossible for residents to cross whenever it rains heavily. Reporting for Joy News, I am Charity Emihil Battels.
And that's all for this bulletin of Joy News today. These are the main stories we looked at today. The nation mourns a hero. Tributes pouring for deceased former Vice President Kwesi Bekoye Mr. Arthur, who died Friday morning after collapsing in the gym. We brought you scenes from his home here in Accra and took you to Cape Coast, where he lived for decades. The Progressive People's Party calls for the sack of the EC person and Charlotte Osei, EC chairperson Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies as good riddance as political parties and civil society reacted to the removal of EC leadership. And floods destroyed bridges, homes and lives in Kumasi as one family mourns 5 members. We took you to the Ashanti region capital as the mayor talked tough about demolishing structures in waterways. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Nathaniel Ato comes your way with Sports Today up next, but it's bye from me. Have a great day.